Welcome back to Party's Over. I'm joined now by Erica, one of my closest friends. She was with me on one of the worst nights of my life. Erica, are you ready to relive this night?
I'll never forget it. So, let's see. We started out on a calm, casual evening to go get dinner. We ended up going to Faena.
Yes.
It was a crowded, night. It was Formula One weekend. Everybody was coming and going. We got there, we walked in, we went downstairs to the lounge, and sure enough,
We see my ex,
we see your ex.
which at the time we were on a separation it had been 4 months. So we were separated for 4 months.
He needed a breather.
Yes, but this was the third time that he had left, and we had just spent a week together in Los Angeles the week before, visiting our daughter for her school performance. While we were together, we stayed in the same room that week. I asked him if he was seeing somebody, and he said no. We were talking about possibly going through marriage counseling. He really was basically saying that he didn't want to, but he would consider. And then we came back, and then I said that week, since we weren't going to go through marriage counseling, I'm going to cut off communication. So that Sunday before, I'd cut off communication with him. I told him I didn't want to speak to him anymore. And then that was Sunday, now we're at Friday.
So if I remember correctly, you and I were actually walking out. Before we went downstairs, we were walking out. We had been at the upstairs bar initially.
We walked in, we saw the couple, we went to the upstairs bar, then we met Christina downstairs. So we go downstairs, and all of a sudden he came over to us. He came over to all of us, and he was in a roped off
He was on that section to the left.
section of the club. So you and I and Christina were talking to him, and then he went back over, but he didn't invite us over. But the entire night he kept staring at me. So everything that I did the whole night, he kept staring and watching, and I kept saying to you, this is really strange. And then at one point, you and I walked to the bathroom, and there was a girl sitting on his lap. But they weren't touching each other, so we didn't think anything of it.
I was a little worried, but yeah.
So then we go to the bathroom, we come back, the girl's not on his lap. At that point, he wasn't really even communicating with her, so I just thought that was his friend's wife's friend, like not a big deal. Then you and I decided to leave, and this is where it gets tricky. So she and I walk out of the club to get my car.
She was a little bit frazzled.
I was frazzled at this point because I'd never run into him out like that since the separation. Completely frazzled. I ask for my car. They bring the car. We get in, and I don't have my keys. So I have house keys that are on a separate keychain from the car key. And I was like, Erica, I don't think this is my car. So she opens the glove box, and what do you find?
I find a gun in the glove box. And I said, why is there a gun in this glove box?
So she finds a loaded gun in the glove box. And at that point, I knew that it wasn't my car. So I say to the valet, this isn't my car. It must be an identical car. And they said, well, we can't find your car. And I'm like, no problem. We're going to go back in. So she and I go back into the club and tell them what happened.
Back up for 1 second. Sandy asked me, should I go back in or should we go home? And I said, you have two options here. We go home, you'll never know. We go in, and you have to be very prepared for what will happen when you go inside. Are you prepared for what will happen when we go back?
And I said, yes.
Right. So we go back inside. I go in first. I walk down the lounge. I look to my left, and sure enough, I see her ex standing up, bending down to kiss another woman. Sandy sees it simultaneously before I could really even mention anything to her. And I see her make a mad dash to him. And I then make a mad dash to her because I did not want my best friend here to be, God forbid, arrested, kicked out, embarrassed, or whatever it might be. So by the time I get in there, she's pulled him off. He doesn't know what's going on.
Well, the way I pulled him off was I sunk my nails into his neck and I yanked him off of her. And he just was surprised. And apparently I pushed her, which I don't remember.
I didn't see that either.
Yes, he said that I pushed her. Everybody's staring. I'm screaming at him. He's like, let's go outside. Let's discuss this outside. So he takes me outside. I'm beating, like punching him every which way, like punching him in the face, punching him in the stomach. And security comes over to us, and security didn't even care. He's like, are you going to do something about her? And they're like, in their mind, they're thinking, if this woman's hitting you, there's probably a good reason.
So I'm still inside at this point, and I see this girl is sitting with two of her friends side by side. I look at her and I say, you know you're dating or making out, rather, I think I said, with a married man, correct? And she sat there looking at me like, I'm not sure she was really aware of what the situation was. Then she gets up, she storms out, she leaves, she's crying. I go outside, I'm with Sandy. I look at Dave, I go, what are you doing? Like, what's going on here? And he actually looked at me and said, Erica, do not give me a therapy session right now, okay? He says, I still love Sandy. I want to be friends with Sandy and have a good relationship. The marriage may be over, but our friendship is not. I looked at him like, are you nuts? So then I walk down to the opposite side of the street, give them a few minutes. Then I get called back in to take her home. I'm sick to my stomach over this because I know the feeling, and we get home.
So first we go back, I never go back in. He goes back in. The girl was crying, she left. He walked home, and while he was walking home, which was a few miles, we're on the phone with each other. I'm yelling at him. I don't understand who this girl is. I have no idea. How long has she been in the picture? Because we were on a break, but he said he wasn't seeing anybody. The marriage really wasn't over at this point. So
I try to go to sleep I knew I wasn't sleeping that night. I knew maybe I'll get 2 hours. Sandy gets in bed eventually next to me. I felt horrible because I've been there and I know the feeling. And then all of a sudden, I'm being woken up to, I found her, Erica, I found her.
So in the morning, I called my friend and I said, I need you to ask your husband who this girl is. I want to see her Instagram. I want to see how long has this been going on? Who is this person? So we get the Instagram. She looks nothing like she did in person. So when he said, oh, this is her Instagram, I'm like, this isn't the same girl. And he's like, no, it's the same girl, but she looks completely different on Instagram. So Erica does her investigation work, which I, at the time, didn't know that much about Instagram. I didn't even know what a highlighted story was.
And we found that this had been going on for probably a few years. And she was all over your plane.
She was all over everything. So she was all over my personal property. We went back to I think it was winter of 2021. This girl had been in the picture since fall of 2021. We're now in 2023. And I didn't even need to hire a private investigator because this girl posted everything in her highlighted stories. So every time she was with him, where they were, you could see his hand if they were at dinner, where they were doing cheers or whatever they were doing, he was there. So of course I called him. I'm freaking out. I'm screaming at him, and he's caught. So he didn't know what to say. So of course I send it to everybody, my sister-in-law, my mother-in-law, everybody. I'm so upset at this point. He goes on to Formula One that day. The girl leaves him because she's like, you chose your wife over me. At this point, she's out of the picture. A month later, we decide to work things out. We lasted another year, and then until our final separation, which he ended up leaving again for the same girl. So I probably should have stayed away at that point, but I didn't.
Well, this is narcissism 101. And the party was over.
Yeah, there you have it. Party's over.
That was it.